Hello once again, Jose Rodriguez here. We're going to be discussing something that everyone's been asking about. How does the Color Munki Photo or i1 Studio spectrophotometer stand up to the big boy, the i1PRO2? What are the profiles like? Are the Pro 2 profiles day and night different or better than the Color Munki ones or i1 Studio ones? We're going to check that. We are going to check that. And so what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and just simply use something very common. Canon Photo Paper Plus Glossy 2. Again, nothing fancy here. The Pro-100 with Precisioncolors Signature Edition, which is what everyone is using. And I think people are just simply curious to find out which profile is better. And then we're going to go ahead and check it on a profile viewer. I have one loaded already, and we're going to check to see, overlapping both profiles in 3D form, which one has a larger volume or a larger gamut, if you will. It will not be just bigger. It'll just be kind of at different levels of the color, like the yellow, magenta, cyan, red, green, blue areas might extend out a little bit on this one and not so much on that one, that sort of thing. Then we're going to measure the total gamut volume and compare the two. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm not going to take you through the steps of actually making the profile because, gosh, if you don't know how to do that by now, there are so many videos out there that are much better than mine will ever be, especially those made by X-Rite. So let's go ahead and print out these charts. We're going to scan them. I'll give you a little bit of a quick preview how you do that as well. And then we're going to simply compare them on the computer, and then we're going to make some prints, because the ultimate result that we are always looking for is looking at our actual print. So we're going to print them on that same paper, the same printer, and we're going to then compare this standard evaluation image to see which one just simply looks a little bit better than the other one. And better might just be very subjective, so keep that in mind. All right, we'll be right back. All right, so now we are going to go ahead and print our first chart with the Color Munki using the i1 Studio software. We're going to click on Color Print, and we're going to click on Print. And we got to make sure that we have the correct settings on our printer, and that means that you have to set your printer driver to no color management. On a Windows machine using a Canon printer, we'll go ahead and load our printer and make sure that it is set to no color management. Right click, Printing Preferences, and then we want that Photo Paper Plus Glossy 2 high quality. We're going to click on this and matching set to none. And that means that the printer will be printing in raw form. Now we can go ahead and press print. Okay, the print has been printed. Came out beautiful. Again, now we're going to check to see how accurately each one of these patches matches the original value. So if there were any deviations at all in reproduction, those will be compensated for. That's how it works. Now, depending how this turned out, because again, we were using, again, one unknown, and that was the inks. Had I been using OEM, then this really wouldn't be necessary, would it? But I wasn't. I was using a different ink set. Proper paper, proper printer, but different ink set. So I need to then check to see how this deviates from what OEM would have produced, okay? And so I need to scan each one of these individually. We're going to do that on the table over here in a bit, because this has to dry before I can scan it. Otherwise, the results may not be as accurate if you do not let your print dry. So leave your software open, go drink some coffee, come back half an hour later. That's usually sufficient for this kind of work, especially on resin coated paper, which pretty much dries instantly. Then once we scan this print, the computer through the software will then generate a custom set of patches, okay? And that will depend on the results we get initially from these scans, okay? It's only 50 patches. There's a lot of interpolation taking place, and that's why we want to compare it to the i1 Pro with 1600 patches double scanned. and that's going to take a while to do. Okay, so anyway, let's take a break. We'll be right back. We'll go ahead and scan these and we'll proceed with the process. So before you proceed to perform your scanning operation, you have to calibrate your spectrophotometer. So we're going to rotate our Color Munki central dial so that it points right there. That's like a 7 o'clock position, and that is the calibration position. This position is the scanning position. And if you're doing a monitor calibration and you want to use the ambient light to sort of give you the correct luminance level, you put it on the upright position, the 12 o'clock position. All right, let's go ahead and put it in the correct one. I notice that the calibration button becomes activated. We'll click it, hold our breath. I haven't used this for quite a while, so we'll have to see if it properly calibrates itself. Otherwise, this whole exercise will be a little bit moot. Okay, it has done a correct calibration. Now we can proceed to scan. We're going to go from the bottom to the top, row number 1, slowly and steady, one at a time. If the operation is done successfully, then you will get the next row activated. So we'll proceed with this one. I'm going to switch over to the camera and show you basically what we are doing. So we are going to locate the Color Munki sensor so that it's away from the first square, making sure that that is indeed our correct square, and proceed by pressing the button here and then scanning across, letting go of the button, and if we are successful, we'll get the next row activated. So let's go ahead and proceed. And the next one is activated. So far, so good. One at a time, very, very steady. Stay within the margins. Do not veer left or right, or you will get an error. All right, we are done with the scanning. So as you can see, now that we have our scan completed, the upper half of the rectangle shows what it should have been and what we actually got. Okay, this is really bad right here. There's going to have to be some really intense correction. Now remember, this is blue, and blue is pretty much impossible to produce on a printer without proprietary blue ink. Okay, you can see the difference in luminance, in hue, in just general color. Look at that. Again, that's one of those crazy colors that simply you will have a hell of a time trying to reproduce. So hopefully our profile will be able to take care of all of these relatively massive errors in reproduction. And now what we have to do is jump over to the next button, click that, and it's going to go ahead, second test chart generation in progress, and we'll just go ahead and print that using the same exact settings. And we'll let it dry, and then we'll proceed with the scanning. And I'll just show you the last few rows of that, and then we'll proceed to create our profile, which will then be saved in our profile folder in Windows. I usually save it elsewhere as well. So anyway, we'll just go ahead and generate the second set of patches, and we'll print them as we did before, making very sure that the settings remain the same. Photo paper glossy plus, high quality, matching set to none. Alrighty, let's print this baby and we'll be right back. Alright, we just reproduced this one, printed it, dried it, scanned it, got the results, which were then used to create this one. And this is the one that will finalize the process. Now, a hint for you guys that are using the Color Munki or the i1 Studio unit. This is the upper left. you will scan from left to right, starting with the topmost row. Scan, 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 and scan. 5 rows of 10 each, which gives you a total of 50 plus the original 50, and then the interpolation magic will take place. And that's how it kind of figures out what should be the colors in between all of these patches we just printed. Okay, so let's go ahead and scan this just like we did before. And that's it. Then we're going to produce our profile. All right, so in order to access that, we're going to go ahead and hit next. Notice that the blue button is the one you should press next. So it sort of gives you a hint as to what to do next. Now we're going to go ahead and scan the second set of patches, just like we did before. We do not have to recalibrate. It's already calibrated for the session. The little beep that you hear initially means that you are good to go. So your sensor should always be on the white surface of the paper you are about to scan. Click, wait a second, and continue to move in a steady rate. Don't hurry. Don't veer right or left. And you can see straight away on the screen here that we are getting some pretty good matches. Fairly good, a lot better than the previous ones. Okay, so the next step that we need to perform is to click next. It's as simple as that. And we're going to give it a name that we can then associate with this later. So this is going to be a Canon Glossy Plus 2 and PC inks, PCSE inks. That should be sufficient. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, make sure that our profile is version 4. Now here's the catch. If you are working with modern gamut viewing software, maybe this will not work. So for this case, I'm going to go ahead and we'll save this one in version 2, just to be sure. It's just one of those things that happens. Now notice here underneath, you get the little progress report, if you will, of the profile being saved. In Windows, it gets saved automatically in the correct folder in Systems 32 in your hard drive. And this is it. We are done with this. So let's go ahead and hit OK. It gives you the nice little green check mark that you have successfully created that profile. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and jump over to the i1PRO. All right, let's jump into the next portion of the video. We're going to create the second profile that we're going to use to compare against the Color Munki profile with the i1PRO2. Now, when I loaded the software today, I haven't made a profile in quite a while. It asked me to update it. So I did that. We installed the new updated version. I have no clue what it includes or what it is fixing. Again, we have no time for that at this point. So we have it open. It recognized my unit, and I'll show you what to do in case it does not. What you need to do, if you do not get these green indicators here, and this is for CMYK profile production, which is not what we're doing, so that's why it is red. You need to choose your correct unit here. And I have my i1PRO2 chosen. You have the Display Plus, i1PRO2, and the i1PRO3 and 3 Plus, which is brand new. All right, so once you get all of these indicators on, we're going to go ahead and choose paper profiling. They call it printer profiling, but really you're profiling papers. And we're going to make sure that we have our correct printer chosen. In this case, it's the Pro-100. In letter size and large, because if you choose small, it's just going to do a single sheet 400 patches, and for many cases this will be more than enough. We're going to choose the large one because we want to create the best profile possible, the maximum quality profile. So at this point we have to print these. So we're going to click print. It's going to open up our print dialog. We're going to choose the Pro 100, and it should be set at the same settings as before. We'll check here. It is indeed printing, and we will be back when all 3 sheets are done. So now we have to calibrate our unit, and we'll do that by clicking on the arrow, and it's asking us to press that side button. And I'll show you what the unit looks like right here. So we're going to press this button. This is the button that you will be pressing also when you are proceeding to scan. And I have it set for dual scanning. Okay, so we're going to scan to the right, pause, let go of the button, press the button once again, and scan to the left. This unit will produce up to 200 pulses per second. So the slower you scan, the more pulses each patch will receive, and the more accurate your reading will be. So let's go ahead and calibrate. I just pressed the button. As you can see, we have a little spinning icon here for a cursor. Okay, so we are ready to scan. We will bring the unit over to the scanner rail assembly. We'll lift it up, move it up to the first row. Make sure that the front edge is right on the lower edge of the actual row. Bring the scanner to the left, press the button, scan slowly toward the right, let go. You get a blue light, click it again, wait for the beep, and scan back to the original point. And then you will see right here the results. The upper left corner is the original color. The lower right corner is the actual printed color that was scanned. Now we'll proceed to do all of these rows. I will not bore you to death doing this. We'll be back when everything is done. Okay, we have about 3 more rows to go, and we'll go ahead and do those and call it a day. Make sure that that's the 3rd row. Yep. Here we go. So yeah, that took a good 25 minutes to do. And I'm sure you understand why I didn't put you through this torture. You can see as I finish scanning each row, the program indicates the level of error or accuracy. And this is it. We are done. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and accept the fact that we finished. It says measurement successfully completed. Click next to continue to the next step. And you can choose not to see that, but I like to keep that open. So we'll hit OK and click next. And this is what we can choose: the illumination temperature. D50 is the normal, and then you can choose different levels of temperature. In other words, maybe a fluorescent light source or something specific that a gallery may be using, and then you can apply that, and that will affect the way that the final print is printed so that it will look correct and neutral in the viewing illumination that whoever is going to display it intends to use. For us, however, D50 is the default. So we'll choose that. And that's it. We're going to name it. I'm going to go ahead and change this to, and we forgot to put the Color Munki. Did we put Color Munki? We got to put i1PRO2 and PCSE and Glossy 2. I'm sure that the actual names will not match, but this is good enough for us to be able to identify later the profile. So what we have is we're going to have to put, of course, our printer, Pro-100, and I think that's good enough. Pro-100, i1PRO2, PCSE, Glossy 2. And again, of course, we know that that's going to be a Canon paper. Now, when I use my i1 Pro, there's a fly here. When I use my i1 Pro, I have a second folder that I store my profiles in, not only in the Windows folder, but also in my secondary folder that I can then access later. And it's located on my desktop, and it's just simply called Profiles. And that's it. Now we're going to go ahead and save the profile, and you can see the progression bar here, just like in the previous example. I'm going to go ahead and move my i1 Pro back to its little cradle, remove the profile chart. Meanwhile, we wait for that profile to be completed, and hopefully it will be successful. Then we can actually do a comparison here, very quick comparison between this profile and the previous profile as soon as it finishes. You got to realize it's doing an immense amount of computing, and there it is. So this is our profile in 3D form. This is the north, south. This is black. This is white. And these points that extend out are basically for each color. So we have 6 points, one for each color. You have green, blue, yellow, red, and so forth. So I think we did it. At this point, we're going to try to load this into a gamut volume type viewer for ICC profiles, and hopefully it will accept both of these profiles that we just created. So we'll be right back. Okay, initially we wanted to do a direct comparison between the i1PRO2 profile and the Color Munki profile. Unfortunately, that was not possible because this website that I am using expects you to use version 2 profiles, and my i1PRO2 software that I just updated today only produces V4 or version 4 profiles, and it just will not allow me to do that. So the next best thing is to compare it against a OEM profile. Okay, so what I have loaded here is on the wireframe we have OEM, and on the solid we have the Color Munki. And as you can see, wherever you don't see anything coming through, that means that the Color Munki is beyond the space or gamut. Okay, so areas such as these right here, yeah, the OEM profile does extend beyond that. Now I think both of them produce a good black. Okay, as you can see right there, not nearly all the way to the bottom, but still very, very good. Alrighty, so what I have done is to print one with OEM, one with the Color Munki profile, and then the last one with the i1 Pro profile. And what did I print? Of course, our standard evaluation image. That's the one that we are going to use to evaluate our results. Now let's quickly take a look at gamut volume. So down here we have gamut 7.9780 cubic color units for the OEM, 718.034 cubic units. So we have actually exceeded, just with the lowly Color Munki, the gamut volume of your basic OEM profile that Canon puts out. Okay, so as you can see clearly there, Canon extends in this region here, extends in this region here. But we definitely extend in all of the areas that you don't see any kind of wireframe coming through. Definitely down here as well. All right, let's go take a look at those prints and see what we have. Okay, so we are finally at the end of our project here. As you saw, the OEM profile actually has a slightly smaller gamut volume than the one that we created with the lowly Color Munki Photo. So what does that mean? Well, it just means what I have been saying all along. OEM profiles are made to work just fine on every single Pro-100, every single Pro-1000, every single P800, every single P900 or P700, whatever. They have to be slightly smaller than optimally, and you only achieve the optimum result if you make your own. And apparently the Color Munki by itself can produce a slightly larger volume profile. And by that I mean that overall, as you add up every bit of that color space, it is actually a little bit larger than the OEM. They extend out and emphasize certain colors that the other profile may not. So it's not a, 100% equal increase in volume. Okay, they will excel at certain colors. Both of them will be slightly different, and we're going to judge that result by actually viewing some prints. Now, had we been able to load the i1PRO2 profile, because it was version 4, it will not allow me to load it. Maybe it may have been larger. I'm going to check the file sizes to see if that is the case. All right, so the first one we're going to look at, I got to take my glasses off, otherwise I will not be able to see. Oh, this looks gorgeous, just gorgeous. Let's look at the back first so that we know what we are looking at. So we have standard evaluation image printed with the OEM ICM, okay, for this particular paper. Gorgeous. Color Munki Photo ICM. Again, this is all with PC inks. And again, just gorgeous. We're going to have to look at this and really scrutinize every little corner when we're comparing these three results. They're just way too close and just simply way too good to, just say outright, oh, this is better than that one. No, that's not the case. i1PRO2, gorgeous. So, for those of you who may be asking, well, do I really need a $1,500 instrument? Apparently not, okay? Remember I told you that the Color Munki software performs interpolation, even though it's only utilizing 100 color patches? It can do that magic. Okay, so we're going to look at OEM and Color Munki. Wow. And it's just beautiful. Both of them are beautiful. There is a slight, and I'll tell you this. I see a slight difference in color because indeed these are different colors. This is more toward red. This is more toward magenta. The same thing happens here. This has a slight tint of magenta. This is a very light red. Same thing here. And this is the big one right here. This is the good one with the i1PRO2. Same thing. Let's look at neutrality. Let's look at linear neutrality. For that, we have to set this up slightly different, like this. So we have OEM at the bottom, Color Munki in the middle, and i1PRO in the top. Let's make sure we're only looking at the grays. I'm looking at difference in hue. I really cannot tell any difference. I would have to literally use my spectrophotometer and measure these patches to make sure where they, to kind of see where they are located as far as 0 to 255. So I can see 6. Oh, I definitely see 6 here. And OEM, no, this is OEM 6. Color Munki, it's beginning to, it shows a little bit. i1PRO2, yep, also shows. So anything lower than 6 is gone. So that's even using black point compensation, but that happened on all 3 profiles. Okay, let's look at the baby's faces. And that can sometimes show you some errors in the profile itself. We're going to look at not just the color of the faces or the skin tones, but look at the shadow areas, the little shadow side, and see if you see like a bluish kind of hazy looking tint to it. And I noticed that before in some cases, but not today. So that's really amazing. Now we're going to look at the transitions here and see if we have any banding. Okay, that's usually the case with transitions. You will have a certain degree of banding because the printer just can't figure out how to dither that very gradual change of either hue or density. So this is OEM right here. Color Munki. I see a very, very, very slight bit of banding right here. It's gone on the i1PRO2. Totally gone on the red patch. So now we're going to look at light white to fully saturated. That's very smooth. OEM is just fabulous. But then again, so is the Color Munki. And of course, the i1PRO. Nothing can beat that. All right, let's look at the outer gamut patches on the top row. And this is where the printer will struggle to try to reproduce these. These are completely out of gamut. If you do a gamut test on your image as you're viewing it, they all turn gray. So it's impossible. All right, so this set of 3 patches right here usually just blends together in most printers. So Pro-1000 Precision, remember this is not OEM inks, this is Precisioncolors Signature Edition. I can see 3 different colors, 3 different colors. Over here on the i1PRO, this looks more distinctly separated from this green. Here's a little bit closer, almost blending together. And OEM kind of looks a little bit more blended together, to tell you the truth. The purple, deep blue, and deep bluish cyan. That's very difficult to reproduce as well. Look at how well the i1PRO reproduces those colors, that profile. Quite amazing. So again, what do we want? We want neutrality linearly from darkest to brightest on all 3 colors, and just have it look natural. Okay, you look at these images. These are things that you recognize. Okay, you know what they look like. So that's what you're using to judge this as you examine, and analyze your results. This doesn't look pink. It looks orange the way it's supposed to. There's no green halo around the sun. That occurs a lot. Do I want to eat these strawberries? Let's look at the strawberries. OEM ink with OEM profile and this image produce what I call not quite ripe strawberries. They were a bit orangey. So remember, this is i1PRO, Color Munki, and OEM profile. Need I say more? I mean, you could see how incredibly close the results are. Of course, this is with a Canon paper for which there is an ICC profile already made by Canon. So what you need to do is, when you start experimenting with other foreign or different papers that have ICC profiles for OEM ink, just like this one, go ahead and create a profile anyway. Okay, this ink is close enough to allow you to use their profiles 99% of the time, but you may want to increase that quality or that gamut just that itsy bitsy bit more, just like we showed on the gamut volume reading. Okay, so that's about it. This was kind of long, and I apologize for that, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And this is something that I have been looking forward to doing, and finally got it done today. It rained cats and dogs, and I got a guy coming this week to replace my rear gutter, which is a shambles. It's about to fall off. So hoping the rains will go away so he can come over. Hopefully he ordered the seamless gutter and he can install it for me this coming week. All right. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. And of course, if you have the ability to create your own profiles, by all means, go for it, because it is the way to go. Thank you so much. Happy printing, everybody. Bye-bye.